Welcome to the iconic American Diner, a timeless symbol of a first date, a quick bite to eat, a place to show off your latest edition of your hot rod, a teen hangout, or even just a place to get the best tasting piece of pie in town. How did these diners come to be? This is All Request History, the history of the American Diner. The roots of the diner can be traced back to Providence, Rhode Island. In 1858, a 17-year-old pressman from Providence Journal newspaper, Walter Scott, was supplementing his income by selling sandwiches and coffee to night shift workers at the Journal. He kept up his business part-time while still working at the Journal for over a decade. His business became successful enough for him to quit his newspaper job and put together a horse-drawn wagon that could house all of his food and drinks. Many entrepreneurs followed suit, and these wagons, now called lunch cars, popped up in most U.S. cities, usually near manufacturing plants or large businesses. Now, while these were gaining popularity, an Irish immigrant, Patrick Tierney from New Rochelle, New York, operated a successful small lunch wagon in the early 1900s. He grew his business by adding a few more carts to new cities. This expansion earned him enough money to start his own lunch wagon manufacturing company, P.J. Tierney & Sons Incorporated. As his company grew, so did the size and the style of the wagons. They started to revolutionize the market. He developed new innovations like electric lights, tile floors, ventilators, skylights, and some say his most revolutionary innovation, the indoor bathroom. Most of Tierney's success can be credited to his love for the business and his willingness to help others love it too. In Richard J. S. Gutman's book, Diners, Bowling Alleys, and Trailer Parks, he says of Tierney, he loved lunch cars so much that he would do practically anything to get someone started running his own. Question: what was the most popular menu item in history sold at American diners? The answer is coming up. In Bayonne, New Jersey, Jerry Mahoney was working with his father's grill and became very knowledgeable in the small restaurant business. In 1910, he and his brother Daniel saved up enough capital to buy a Tierney lunch car. With their experience and their help from the master of the business, Patrick Tierney, their success allowed them to expand to 7 more O'Mahony lunch wagons. Jerry was fond of train travel and paid close attention to the operations of the most popular car on the train, the lunch car. Now, although there have been a few actual train cars converted into diners, history shows that Jerry O'Mahony molded his prefabricated restaurants to look like train lunch cars. He started making them completely stationary with symmetrical rectangular-shaped designs and extended them to well over 26 feet long. He added more windows, put a door in the center, and he manufactured them in his hometown of Bayonne, and his style became the standard for the 24-hour clean, comfortable, and friendly quick restaurants that offered some of the best home cooking outside of the home. It's also O'Mahony that's credited with the moniker of what is now the familiar title, the Diner. Since he designed his restaurants after train dining cars, naturally he thought of the people that visited them as diners. In 1924, his company's sales catalog used the word diner often, and even the restaurants themselves were often titled by the name of the owner or the town that it served, like Rosies Diner, Fells Point Diner. It became the name of every small train car-like restaurant, whether diner was in the title or not. Tune in next week as All Request History looks at the history of Mona Lisa. Now, if you'd like to hear the history of, well, anything, put your request in the comments and yours could be the next video on All Request History. By the 1920s and 1930s, most all diners had adopted that same look with stainless steel exteriors, sleek counters, and cozy booths. They became popular gathering spots in U.S. cities and small towns coast to coast. Their popularity increased even more by offering affordable fare during the Great Depression. In addition to their role as eateries, diners have served as important social hubs into the 40s, 50s, and 60s, where people from all walks of life would gather to share meals, conversation, and camaraderie. They've been depicted in countless works of art, literature, and film, embodying the sense of Americana and nostalgia. The 1950s were considered the golden age of diners. They became iconic stars in their own right. Diners became synonymous with jukeboxes, milkshakes, hot rods, and classic American cuisine. Some of the most famous diners in pop culture are Arnold's Drive-In from Happy Days, Mel's Diner from American Graffiti. Two broke girls worked as waitresses at the Williamsburg Diner, Luke's Diner from the Gilmore Girls, and arguably the most famous pop star in the diner universe would have to be Monk's Cafe, where we would often see Jerry, Elaine, George, and Kramer sharing stories about nothing on Seinfeld. The real name of that place is Tom's Restaurant, by the way, and if you happen to be in New York City's Upper West Side, stop in. It's open from 7 to 11 every day. As the U.S. entered into the 70s and 80s, diners became less popular. As the U.S. culture became more and more fast-paced, the rise of fast food chains McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's, and even KFC took over as the go-to fast food places to eat. Some still managed to endure thanks to their loyal customer base and their nostalgic appeal. One of the places that's been around longest is the White Horse Tavern in Newport, Rhode Island. It's been open since 1673. Now, most sources list the White Horse as the oldest diner in the country. However, this place would be more of a restaurant than a diner. The difference between a restaurant and a diner is simple. According to Johnson & Wales University in Rhode Island, a diner is casual, affordable, and it offers swift service and a relaxed atmosphere. You know, breakfast all day, a turkey club, crinkle fries, and chocolate malt, and a huge chunk of apple pie, and a great cup of coffee. Yeah, that's a diner. If the menu includes braised sirloin medallions or pan-seared scallops with black rice, and amaretto toasted almond cake for dessert, then you're at a restaurant. So that would bring us to Natick, Massachusetts, to a place that could truly be called a diner. Casey's Diner was actually first established in 1890 as a four-stool horse-drawn wagon that Fred Casey purchased from someone called the Brooks family. Casey then ordered a permanent structure to be built by the Worcester Lunch Car Company in nearby Worcester, Massachusetts, and it's been located in downtown Natick since 1927. It was passed from father to son for 4 generations and is still open today, serving the classic diner fare like egg and cheese on a hard roll, Tuna-Melts, double burger, crinkle fries, BLTs, root beer float, and of course, a giant piece of cherry pie a la mode. Now here are some fun facts about diners. Most servers over the decades have been women, but interestingly, women were not even allowed inside a diner to work or eat until after the 1920s. Diner employees speak their own language.
2 cows, drag them through the garden, cut the grass, give them a hemorrhage.
And to answer our earlier question, although most diners have a decent-sized menu, most experts report that the most popular item sold in American diners is the dead cow in a yellow blanket. The classic cheeseburger. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in diners, driven by a growing appreciation for their vintage aesthetics, comfort food offerings, and a sense of nostalgia. Many diners have embraced their retro appeal, while also updating their menus to cater to modern tastes and dietary preferences like vegan, nut-free, or even keto and Atkins. Additionally, some new establishments are deliberately modeled after classic diners, capitalizing on their timeless charm and cultural significance. Today, diners continue to hold a special place in the hearts of many. While their numbers may have dwindled and the COVID-19 pandemic affected many of them closing, those that do remain continue to serve up a slice of Americana, reminding us of simpler times and the joys of sharing a meal with family and friends. So the next time you step into a diner, take a moment to appreciate its rich history and the enduring legacy of this beloved institution.